In this video, we'll be looking at how to assign to an existing list an empty list, or how to just start out assigning just an empty list to begin with. They're both done in basically the same way. So once again, from previous video, I hope you remember that this back arrow is the assignment arrow, and if you want to assign an empty list, you just open and close and use empty brackets. And in the block version, I think this is empty brackets. They're just so close together that it looks like a big empty rectangle. But this is what this is meaning. So let's take a look at what an empty list looks like in Snap and an empty list looks like in Python. So if we go over to Snap, we had this previous list, an existing list where it has the values 1 through 5 as integers stored in that list. If we want to change this to an empty list, then all we have to do is just grab this list command, hit the back arrow, and take out that open box that exists by default. And then we'll put this in here, and this is basically an empty list. And then when we hit the set, you'll notice it'll change this, and we still have the list syntax. It knows it's supposed to be a list, but now it has a length of 0, and you don't see any elements in there. That would be equivalent to taking this list and going through and basically deleting out each individual element to where the list is empty. But this is the programming notation that we use to assign basically a list, an empty list, to a list variable. If we look at what that looks like in Python, so we'll go back and remember, if you remember when I ran this cell, it created a list that had some elements in it. And then if you run this cell, it prints out that list. So now all I have to do is just take the same variable and assign it using the equal sign, the open close brackets. And what that'll do is that'll say, hey, I want this variable to be referencing this empty list instead of the list that we previously had. So when you run that cell again, you'll see that sure enough, the output for this list is now that it's an empty list. So this is how you assign an empty list in Python, and this is how you assigned it in Snap. And all of that is referencing this syntax from the pseudocode, where you have the little back arrow and then just the open brackets, and that's what it means, is that you now have a list that doesn't have anything contained in it. I hope you found this information useful.